getting over the fact that it's quitting or failing. It's really not that. And I think people should feel okay doing that. And to not think about what other people are going to think. Like maybe other people are going to be like, oh, she tried that and failed, like she's a failure. You just want to live life without regrets and do things while you have time. So why not just try it out? You never know what's going to come out of it. You know, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But what if it does?
Welcome back to another episode of the Kurative Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Sutarji, and my guest today is YouTube creator Amanda Lim. Amanda creates lifestyle and personal finance videos to share her experiences and the lessons from them. She also has her hands in many entrepreneurial ventures, from t-shirt designs to creating wedding centerpieces. In this episode, we talk about focusing on community over competition, being raw, honest, and vulnerable when sharing your stories, and exploring anything you're interested in. Enjoy the show. Hello, everyone. Before we get to the episode, I just wanted to say thank you for everyone who is watching the podcast on YouTube and listening to the episodes on all the podcast apps. There are many other ways to support the podcast. A few are to rate and write a review on iTunes. If you got value from the episode, you can share it with a friend, and you can email me at hello@kevinsutarji.com and tell me your story about which episode resonated with you. Also, when I announce my guest for the episode on Instagram and ask for questions, you can DM me your question for my guest. Lastly, you can subscribe and be part of the notification squad by opting in on getting notified on YouTube or any podcast app whenever a new episode is released. Thank you and enjoy the show. Thank you, Amanda, for coming to my podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
We've known each other since Cal Poly days, and now we work together at a tech company. And you're a manager right now, right?
Yeah.
How do you like it so far?
It's been good. It's been challenging, but also really exciting. And I think it's been a good experience so far.
And is that something that you were thinking of doing back when you were trying to, work in the tech scene?
No, I guess I never really saw myself as a manager until like maybe the year before.
Mm-hmm.
But I was lucky enough to get that opportunity, and it's been good so far. So I think it's been a good experience to try out for sure.
Yeah, that's great. And would you say that you've been working a lot more ever since you became a manager?
It's interesting. I feel like the work is very different. Like I'm in more meetings now and doing a little bit less work, more delegating. So I have less time to do actual work and more time like spent it managing people and checking in with people and meeting with tons of different teams. So I feel like it's a little bit shifted.
Yeah, and you're probably like doing a ton of things all at once. Your focus is on like 10 different things, every single day.
Yeah, it's very different.
Cool. So for the audience that don't know what you do on the side, why don't you talk about what you do and how you got started?
Yeah, so being a manager is my full-time job at a tech company. On the side, I've really picked up creating videos, which I post on YouTube. So that's been really fun for me. I have really been interested in videos for a really long time. It kind of started, I think, when I was younger. I was fortunate enough to have my parents film home videos when I was growing up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Capturing every single moment.
Yeah. And so I grew up just watching those over and over, and I really enjoy those. And in high school, we had like a technology program where one of the projects was to create a video with like Windows Movie Maker.
Oh yeah, that's what I used as well.
Back in the day.
Way back in the day.
Yeah, and so I think that's kind of where the passion started. In I think high school, I started really watching YouTube like a ton, while also doing homework. But
Yeah.
I used to watch a ton of vloggers and a ton of like makeup tutorials and lifestyle videos. And after college is kind of when the video became a hobby for me. I had like free time after work, and I was like, instead of watching YouTube videos, maybe I should just try to create a couple. And so that's kind of where it started, and I've kind of liked it ever since. And it was just kind of easy for me, like from that experience of practicing in high school. I kind of picked it up pretty easily, and it's kind of fun. So I continued to do it.
Yeah, I remember when I was in 8th grade or 7th grade or something, and I had a project where I had to create a video as well. And I really loved it because I actually like directed, the storyline and stuff.
Yeah.
But that was like my one and only project that I really worked on. Ever since then, until like after college, I wasn't really comfortable with releasing videos and putting it out for people to watch because I was kind of afraid of what people would think.
Yeah.
Did you have that problem when you were making videos for the first time?
Yeah, that's interesting. I have no idea what I was thinking with my first few YouTube videos. I think my mindset has always been, if it's going to help at least one person, then that's cool. So my first YouTube video was actually a product review of this hydro flask.
Oh, okay.
Because I think back then, like about 4 or 5 years ago, hydro flask was starting to become the thing. And my fiance like lent it to me, and I just never gave it back. And that was kind of a sign that I really loved it. And I was like, well, if I really love this, then I would recommend it to everyone that I know. So why not create a video about it? So I just kind of went for it, not knowing what it was going to come out to. And, here we are like years later, and it's got like tens of thousands of views, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And that's just, you're just talking about something that you really enjoy, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I think I like about your videos. You're talking about things that you've tried out, the things that you really want to share to your audience, basically, to say, hey, I really vouch for this product. And I think what's great is that the audience that know you can trust your style, what you prefer, and all of that. So that's really cool that you're doing those kind of things. And I know you also do personal finance videos.
Yeah.
And so could you talk about why you started doing that? I mean, I'm sure it's to share as well, but what did you want the audience to get from your videos?
Yeah, that I did not see that coming at all. I hated finance.
Oh, don't we all?
Yeah, it's funny. It's a little bit of a long story. When I was trying to figure out what to major in, my dad was kind of encouraging me, or saying like, you should major in finance so you know how to manage your money. And I just never really understood what that meant. Like, why would I need to know how to manage my money? Like, why would I major in that to figure it out?
Right.
And even when I took the only finance classes that were assigned to the business major, the degree, they didn't come easy to me. I did not like them at all. And then I guess fast forward a few years later, I think it was like maybe 4 or 5 years after working. And I don't know, randomly, I don't know how this happened, but Kristin, who has been on your podcast already, she recommended Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Okay.
The book by Robert Kiyosaki, for those of you who are not familiar with that. And it kind of changed my whole mindset on money and personal finance. And I just started getting really passionate about it. She recommended The Millionaire Booklet by Grant Cardone. And then you recommended I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. And, that's kind of when my life changed. And I just got really interested in it and started realizing that it's not as hard as I thought it would be. Mm-hmm. Certain books like that kind of make it easier to understand and comprehend and simplify it for us.
Right.
And I think the book that you recommended, I Will Teach You to Be Rich, is the best and easiest book that I've read so far. And it just makes it simpler for us to understand.
Yeah, fun fact, actually, Kristin really wanted to get you on the podcast. And so she was, like asking me, like, let's get Amanda. And I was like, let's do it for sure. So it's cool that it's, a full circle.
Yeah, thanks, Kristin.
Yeah. And with personal finance, I feel like you're right. A lot of people don't really know a lot about what's going on with their finances. They get a paycheck. They don't know what to do with it sometimes. They just put it in a checking account, put it in a savings account, and that's all they know sometimes. Yeah. And there's so much more. There's 401k, and then what do you do with the 401k? Why is it so important? And you just made a video on that. Yeah. So, it's really helpful for people to really talk about it, and they don't have to do all the research, like read all the books that you're doing, but you're sharing the information of what you learn, and that's very beneficial for the audience. And I highly recommend anyone who wants to know personal finance, trying to be financially, stable with your own money, and trying to learn more about what to do with your money, definitely watch Amanda's videos.
Thank you.
So when it comes to videos, like, I know it's kind of like your process, right? It's like your journey to being more financially stable and trying to figure out what to do with your money. How do you make sure that you're continuously improving your financial situation, or you're continuously making sure and tweaking all your finances?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess, I don't know if it's like obsessed, but I'll check in on my finances like maybe once a month.
Okay.
I track my expenses twice a month, so I'll do it like in the middle of the month. I'll basically write down like everything that I've spent money on, basically kind of replicating what's on my credit card statements and putting it in a different spreadsheet. So I like have to manually see every single thing that I've spent money on.
Wow.
And then
that's way better than me.
Yeah. So I do that twice a month to break it out because it takes a little bit of time. So I do it in the middle and at the end of the month, just to see the whole recap and summary at the end, to see like, oh crap, I spent that much money.
That's really good.
Yeah. And then I'll also check like my other accounts, it kind of helps motivate me. Like when you see money growing, or when you see you're saving more and more every month, it helps keep you going. So that's kind of what I do.
Yeah. What are some misconceptions that people have about personal finance that is actually easier to do something when it seems like it's not?
Yeah, I think the biggest one that stood out to me was like, you don't have to be rich in order to start investing, or you don't have to be rich to be or like you don't have to be rich now to be rich later, or wealthy. Anyone can get started. You can get started with any small amount, like anything really counts as something. And, you could start with like $50, or you could start with like $100, and just kind of, you just have to take action.
Yeah.
And learn more about it. And I know it sounds hard and intimidating. That's kind of where I was a few years ago. But I think that's my goal with my YouTube channel right now, is to like create bite-sized videos so that you can like easily digest them and understand without reading a book, if that's not your thing.
Yeah. I think video is a different way for people to learn, and sometimes people hate reading. Like my brother hates reading.
Yeah.
I know he listens to the podcast, so
nice.
Sorry for calling him out on that, but yeah, he doesn't like reading, and he'd rather watch videos probably, or listen to a podcast, and so that's a great outlet and great platform.
Yeah.
So talking about the actual video creation now, I know you do like a talking head where you speak to the camera, and this is something.
What it's called?
Yeah, I think that's what it's called. I heard that from Matt Diavella, one of the filmmakers that I watch. But like I'm not really good at speaking in front of the camera. I don't know, I feel so awkward. Like, how was the process of getting comfortable? Because it seems like you're pretty comfortable talking to the camera.
Thanks. I think it came with experience and time. Like my first few videos are for sure awkward. And it's weird because you're just talking to the lens of the camera sometimes. Yeah. Or if your screen flips up, then you're talking to yourself. I don't know, whichever one's better. But I think vlogging actually helped me become more comfortable. And I don't know if that's your thing, or you could always start vlogging and not uploading publicly. But it kind of went from like vlogging down here and like pointing the camera up because I'm embarrassed, to like vlogging up here where I'm like more confident and like can look at the camera more straight and directly.
Oh, interesting.
Like when it's down here, I don't feel forced to look at it. And that's kind of like where I started out. And I'm just like looking all these other places, but have the camera recording me. And then now I feel more comfortable where I'm okay holding it up or putting it on a tripod somewhere in public. And I think it's just worth capturing those moments for the video or for myself or for the vlog. So I think it's just with time and with, many vlogs later, that's just kind of where that comfort came from.
And that's an interesting way of like incrementally getting used to talking to the camera, because I've never done that. I pretty much put it straight in front of my face and like talk right in front of it, and I'm so not comfortable. So okay, I'll definitely try something like that.
Yeah.
And so I know with your videos, you like to talk about your personal situation. Were you comfortable with like sharing about your life and all of that? Because some people don't want to share. They are kind of they want to keep a private life. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think that's actually one of the easier things for me. And I'm not sure why or what it is. I think maybe because I've seen other YouTubers be so open and honest and vulnerable that I feel okay doing the same thing as well. I just try not to think about like what other people are going to think. And I try to focus on how many people it might help. So like some of my videos are very personal.
Yeah.
But I think the impact it might have, or the amount of people that it could potentially help who are watching, outweighs that fear, I guess. I don't know. I've never really been too scared of it. And I know people could like leave negative comments and stuff like that. But I think because my ultimate goal is to help people, then it's okay.
Yeah, that's a great way to see it. That's like a more positive outlook about sharing your personal stories, your experiences. That's that's very noble of you to want to help people, and I think we need more people like that for sure. Like especially people that we trust. That's what I hope to do with like this podcast. That's what I hope to do with other videos.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Yeah, I think I see that. You're getting really great guest speakers, and I think your ultimate goal is to like help other people see other people's journeys and how far they've come and what they've gone through. And I think, that's a reason that I really like this podcast and what you're doing. So I think you're doing a great job.
Appreciate it. So, kind of shifting to like other topics for your videos, like have you thought about what other topics that you might want to go towards and talk about?
Yeah, I think I'm going to keep doing videos about personal finance for sure. I feel like there's a ton of topics to still touch on, just kind of touching the edge of it right now. And I want to get into more lifestyle, I think. I just am kind of waiting to move out of my parents' house in order to do that.
Okay.
Just because I feel like a lot of the videos I want to do maybe have to be filmed at home. And so I kind of want to show like everyday life of someone in their 20s or, a working professional. Maybe just random videos like skincare or makeup or anything like that. But I think those are current goals, and maybe more product reviews as well. So just a little bit of everything.
Yeah. And I did see on your Instagram story, you were asking people like, oh, what would people want to watch and hear and listen about and learn from?
Yeah.
What were some interesting topics that people said?
Pretty much those. One was, what I've learned as a manager, which came from you.
Yeah.
But, that's actually one topic that I've been really wanting to touch on, because I think being a manager in the tech industry is something that might be interesting to people.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
that's not, the reason I suggested that was because I've always been interested in management, but I never knew whether I for sure wanted to take on that responsibility of handling multiple people, right? Yeah. Because once you're a manager, you're directing 4 or 5, sometimes up to 10 people, and their success is your success, and you have to worry about all of those people, all of their work. And I was just like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that. Like I enjoy working and focusing on what I have to do. This is a whole nother mind shift. So
yeah, it's a huge commitment.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. And so besides video, what else do you do? Because I know you have Hopes and Crafts. Are you still involved in that, or?
Yeah, I have a ton of different ideas, I guess. Hopes and Crafts Co. is an Etsy shop that I started before. I guess it first started as like a lettering type of Instagram account. I got into hand lettering, kind of like calligraphy, but more casual. And I started out lettering for my cousin's wedding. I would do like a lot of their chalkboard signs, and I thought that was fun, so I thought that would be cool to get into. And then I realized that it took so much effort and time that I don't know if it was worth it to do like as a, a side thing. I don't think I was enjoying it as much.
Sure.
So then I think this was about the time where I was like reading into finance books, and they were talking about passive income. I think Robert Kiyosaki touches on that in Rich Dad Poor Dad. And so I was trying to figure out a lot of different passive income type of hustles, I guess you could say.
Sure.
So I started an Etsy to design very simple, minimalist, like wall prints. And they're basically just like phrases or quotes that I really like. A ton of them come from the Friends TV show, if you're a fan.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah. So it's just any quotes that I really like, and started selling them because it basically honestly takes like 5 to 15 minutes to design and upload and list on Etsy. And then after that, it's very hands off.
Yeah.
So whatever people buy, I'm not really spending any extra effort doing it or selling it. It's just there.
Yeah.
And that, I think being able to generate passive income is one of my goals. And so I was just dabbling in a bunch of different things. So that's one idea that I had. And it's doing okay. I mean, it's very little income, but it's like income that I don't really have to work for, which is nice.
For sure. Yeah. It's like kind of one and done. Now
Yes.
people can purchase it.
Yeah.
So that's really smart.
Yeah. Another thing that I've tried out, so I guess that's hopes and crafts right now. I don't know. I started posting like some lettering posts recently, so I don't know what I'm doing with that. That might just be like a creative account now.
Right.
Another thing that I tried out is Amazon merch, or merch by Amazon, I think.
Okay.
It's basically a way to design t-shirts without like the overhead costs. So you upload your design to Amazon, and you choose what types of products you want to create. It's usually like t-shirts, sweatshirts, stuff like that. They handle the inventory. They have all the clothing stored. They handle the screen printing. They handle the shipping and delivery, and you don't have to pay anything.
Whoa, that's crazy. Yeah,
you just get like a small cut of it, like of the profit. And obviously Amazon basically takes the rest.
Right.
So it's not a ton of income, but it's super easy and free to do. So
that's very interesting.
Yeah. So I heard about that from like a side hustle podcast one time. And I just kind of dabbled in that a little bit, sold a few shirts. This is actually one of them. So this is one of my favorites. It says "It was all a dream," which is like Notorious B.I.G.'s phrase, but it's one of my favorite phrases ever. So just like any shirts or quotes that I really like, I just put them on a shirt and just kind of post it out there, because they don't even charge like a listing fee or anything.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's, kind of a free for all.
Yeah. So if you like designing, like all you have to do is design, submit the artwork, and then they take care of the rest. Yeah.
I mean, the cut is a little bit smaller because obviously they're doing everything else and you're not paying for it. But I think it's worth it if you're interested, or if you like designing things, or if it doesn't take too long for you to design things too.
Yeah. That's pretty dangerous for all the shirt manufacturing or like shirt printing companies. It's like great for the designer, but Amazon's killing it.
Yeah, I know. I like kind of feel bad because sometimes I don't like giving in to Amazon. Like the shirts are, like not the best quality. They're probably not made in the USA and stuff like that. But I think for now it's just something that I want to try out. And if, I have designs that might perform better, then maybe I'd take it somewhere else in the future. But for now, it's just an experiment.
Yeah. And it seems like you're pretty open to experimenting, like trying out things, and maybe use shift gears or pivot. And I think you made a video on that, right? On, sometimes it's okay to try something and not go on with it because maybe it's something you're not passionate about, or you realize you don't enjoy, or you're not good at. Yeah. Could you talk more about how you got into that mindset? Because a lot of us might say, okay, I want to approach, this, I want to do this, I want to do this hobby, do this sport, and then they feel like a failure when they decide, oh, I can't do it, or I'm not interested, I'm gonna quit.
Yeah.
How'd you get into that mindset?
Yeah. I think I started thinking about like when I want to have kids
Mm-hmm.
and how that might not be too far away. And, maybe like 5 to 10 years from now. But basically after you have kids, I've just heard that like your life kind of gets taken over, like
Yeah.
you don't have time for yourself as much. And with that in mind, I kind of wanted to make the most out of this time before I have kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I started thinking about like all these different random ideas that I had in my head that I would regret not trying out. And I don't want to like have kids and look back and regret like, oh, I should have tried this, I should have tried that.
Right.
And so I just started going for things, like started the YouTube and started, tried out lettering, tried out the art prints or the wall prints on Etsy, tried out. One thing that failed was I tried to do boudoir photography. For those of you who don't know, which is usually men, it's like photography of like women in either like lingerie or, something. It's just photos to like empower themselves and like feel confident in their bodies and love themselves and feel beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like with that whole self-love movement that's going on to like encourage people to love themselves and find the beauty in themselves. And I thought that was really cool. And so I wanted to try it out. I really wanted to support it. So tried it out with a few friends that volunteered and found out that I just like do not love editing photos. Like,
Yeah.
It's just not my thing. I have a hard time even editing photos for Instagram. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just not my strength at all. And so, I just kind of let that go after I tried it out once. I think just, getting over the fact that it's like quitting or failing. It's really not that. It's just you tried something that you don't want to regret not trying later on in life. And I think that's totally fine. And I think people should feel okay doing that. And to not think about what other people are going to think. Like maybe other people are going to be like, oh, she tried that and failed, like she's a failure. Not to think of it that way. You just want to live life without regrets and do things while you have time. So why not just try it out? You never know what's going to come out of it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But what if it does? Like, at least you can find out this way. So.
Yeah. And what I think most people don't realize is that like you said, you have limited time to do the things that you want to do. So whatever you're not interested in, whatever doesn't add value to what you want to do, like drop it, right?
Yeah.
Just do the things that you want to do so that you're happy, you can put more time and effort into it and not spread yourself thin. Yeah. And I feel like that's what you're doing. You're trying all these things, and whether it's a hobby, a sport, or photography, right? Mm-hmm. Editing photos, and you're just like, okay, I don't like this. Yeah. I'll do something that I care about. That's great.
Yeah, I think I don't know, maybe it's a little bit different for me just because like I'm like okay at multiple different things. Like I'm okay at like lettering, I'm okay at videos, I'm okay at designing things, but I'm not like really good at this one thing. Like some of the people on your podcast, like they're good at this one thing and they like hone in on it right away because they just know that that's what they're meant to do. For me, I think because I don't know, it's not obvious what I'm meant to do because I'm like okay at different things. That's why I'm just trying out all these different things to figure out what I'm meant to do or what I'm really good at.
And it's actually funny because like I feel like I'm the exact same situation as you. When I, went to college, actually in high school. Let's start with high school. I did. Or even elementary school, right? In elementary school, I did sports. I did basketball and track. And then in high school, I did like cross country, badminton, and I did band.
Oh my gosh.
And then in college, I danced, right? And then I obviously had to focus on school and all of that stuff. So I did a ton of activities, but I haven't done any of that. I don't do any of that right now. Mm-hmm. And I told myself, I was like, what's wrong with me? Like, I'm not particularly the best or very good at any of these activities, but I'm doing a lot. I'm trying it out. Mm-hmm. And now I'm doing like video, I'm doing podcasting, but things could change, right? Yeah. And I agree with you. Like, I don't have that like one thing that I'm really, really great at, but I'm okay with that. I personally am okay with that. And I don't know about you, but
Yeah, it's kind of hard to get over. But I think it's okay, you know,
yeah,
it's just part of the journey, I feel like. And
yeah,
I think I'm embracing it. I'm just kind of like, well, I'm lucky, I guess, to have these different options available.
right. Yeah. I mean, we have the opportunity to experiment. We have the opportunity to try things out. And I don't think it's a bad thing that we still don't exactly know 100% what we want to do. And because we're on the path of trying to figure that out, you know, we're just on a different path, different step in the path, in the journey. I think it's okay. Like, I'm okay with not knowing exactly what I want to do.
Yeah.
And what I want to do probably will change. And that's something that I learned from Kristin, because she like got into real estate and she thought that was the one thing that she wanted to focus on. And then she was like, actually, never mind. I'm going to get into more marketing, right? And then she's like, oh, never mind, life coach, right? And she's okay with that. And I really saw that as like, you know, that's great. That's a great mindset. So I'm glad that you're doing that. And I feel comfortable like, you know, doing it now because I'm seeing a lot of my friends doing it as well.
Oh, good. Yeah. I feel like if you're out there and you're kind of in the same boat, I definitely encourage you to just go for what you love to do or what will make you happy, what you enjoy doing. You know, don't care about how it might make you look like, oh, they don't know what they're doing. They just want to bounce around and try different things. Doesn't matter. Just go for what you want to do.
For sure. Let's see. One thing that I'm still trying to get over is whatever I release to the world, basically. I'm afraid of what people might think of how I look, how I speak, and all of that. And I was super against being in front of the camera and mic, like speaking in a podcast. But I felt like this is something that I'm just gonna do because this is the best way to really help promote my friends and the people that I've met, like with their businesses and side projects and all of that. For you, is there something that you're still not confident about, that you're still trying to get over, basically?
I think one thing that I struggle with is like followers and subscribers. It can be kind of discouraging, obviously. So I think I've stayed at like around the same amount of followers for like the past year and a half on Instagram. And that could get frustrating sometimes. And I just, you know, think like, am I doing the right thing? I, you know, think about like, what am I doing wrong? Or am I not likable? Or, you know, I start getting very self-conscious. And then for the longest time, I stayed, you know, under 200 subscribers on YouTube. And I was pushing out more videos than before. And I was like, I'm trying to be more consistent. Why aren't more people following me? And so I think regardless, I tried to like get over the fact that like some numbers aren't moving as fast as I want and stuff like that. Like, try not to take it personally. I try to just keep going and keep getting better at things. And I think just getting over that and like just knowing that what you're doing now is going to push you and to get better in the future and like get closer to your goal at some point. You know, put in the time and put in the effort. People will notice you whenever that happens, and it's okay that it doesn't happen right away.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons why it affected me so much was because like I knew a YouTuber that I really liked, and we started about the same time, and then like she got to like over 20,000 followers in the same time span, and I like, you know, gained like 50, and I was like, oh my gosh. But you know, I'm being me, and so I can't, you know, I guess be upset about that. As long as I'm being honest with myself, as long as I'm creating content that I like, then it's okay, because maybe I'm helping one person, and I just have to remember that like I'm helping a couple people, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be thousands, it doesn't have to be hundreds. My main goal is just to share my journey, and hopefully it'll reach people later on, or, it's
Mm-hmm.
okay that it's not immediate or right away.
Yeah, you have more YouTube subscribers than I do. So, I mean, I definitely get in that mindset as well with YouTube because I have a lot less as well. And I think to myself, even though I feel like I'm doing more, putting more effort and doing more creating more videos and all of that, I feel like I haven't seen that much return.
Mm-hmm.
But actually what I found out recently was like, I spoke to some people like face to face, one-on-one, and they've actually told me that like they've listened to my podcast and they enjoy it. And that really that made me happy, and that's exactly how, like what you said, because that one person that really helped, that one person that I help really is such a big deal.
Yeah.
And I started focusing on like smaller, like even if I have a small audience, like if they're my core tribe,
Yeah.
and they're the ones that are consistently following me and giving me like constructive feedback and stuff, I definitely want to value them. Yeah. And I want to make content for them. And so, yeah, I like appreciate all of you listeners, all of you guys that watch the podcast and stuff. It's great to have, friends that support us and the followers that support us. So
yeah, it's heartwarming when, you get a message from someone about a video, or you get like the one comment or something.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, for sure. Like, I think you talked about this on your last podcast episode, or maybe a couple podcast episodes ago, but your views on YouTube are a little bit less than Spotify. But I have loved listening through Spotify or just the podcast itself, because I do it on my commutes. Right. So it's just easier. Sometimes I'll go on YouTube just to see the person and their personalities of your guests. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think, even if most of your listens are on the podcast version, that's still like so amazing and so successful. So yeah, I think it's very impactful still.
Yeah, and like the core followers that, because you can have a ton of followers that come in and out, right? Mm-hmm. But I feel like, at least from what I've noticed, like the core followers are my real advocates. They're the ones that will like spread the word to other people, to their friends, to their family. Yeah. And I think my brother told me that Kevin Chow, like his friend was asking, oh, what podcast should I listen to during the drive up to like Seattle or something, and he suggested mine. Nice. Shout out to Kevin Chow. So like I didn't even know that. He didn't tag me or anything, and my brother had to tell me. So I was like, very wow, cool. That's really great. Yeah. Like it's good to you don't know how many people are actually listening to your podcast, to your video, watching your videos or anything like that. Yeah. So just keep, we got to keep doing what we're doing, right? Yeah, definitely appreciate the small followings that we have. Yeah. And creating community with like all the creators and the people that are struggling the same struggles as you, going on the similar journey as you. Like, I think that's like great. I think we got to keep each other in check, like support each other and help each other out whenever possible. So yeah, I feel like, I don't know if you noticed, but I feel like you're kind of creating your own creative community, like of people who have been on the podcast. Like I'll look into their background stories, or sometimes I'll look at them on IG and just kind of, I just like hearing their stories, and sometimes you relate to some more than others, and it's just kind of cool. You just have like this connection, which is through you, and that's the only way we would find out or learn more about each other. So that's really cool, I think. You got a lot of IG submissions, so I'm gonna start with those, and we can start with that. Cool. So first one is from Kristin Nguyen. She has a good amount of questions, so we'll start with her. The first one is, do you ever feel stressed or anxious when you're planning for for your financial future? Oh, yes. All the time. I think it's just like, am I doing enough? One thing I've actually been struggling with a lot, and I don't know if people can relate, but is, and my fiance knows this because I stress out about it all the time, is balancing happiness and saving money. I'll cut back a lot, which will make me feel good financially, because
saving that money to be used in the future. But my present self or my current self is not as happy doing that because I'm not spending money on myself or treating myself to anything at all. So I've gotten to the point where like I feel guilty when I spend money on myself, which is tough. And so I think that that's one of the biggest struggles right now when it comes to like planning for my future is like everything's an opportunity cost. If you spend money now, then you're foregoing money for the future and vice versa. And so finding that balance is what I'm trying to figure out right now.
Mm-hmm. And I think I remember Remy Sethi was like, if you're kind of stable in like where you put your money and like you have an extra amount, like feel free to play with it and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I have a hard time with that too. Like sometimes even with buying new camera gear, I'm just like, am I ready to buy this? Like, do I want to spend like 1.6K mm-hmm. on a new lens or something? But it's like, well, it's an investment and hopefully like I see some return, right? Yeah. So yeah, I'm having trouble with that too. So how do you convince yourself, besides like, I guess what your fiance said, how do you convince yourself that, okay, this is the time to spend on these things? Like, how do you determine it?
I don't know if I have yet.
Okay.
I've been struggling with it a lot recently, but I think like I have to really put my happiness first.
Definitely.
Sometimes. So
yeah.
I really just have to think like if it's going to really make me happy, then it's worth it. Mm-hmm. I think I just have to let it go and just kind of be happy in the present moment. Maybe I can like find deals on things and feel a little bit better about it. But yeah, I just really have to prioritize my happiness. And, it's not worth saving all this money for the future if I'm not going to be happy, until later. Like, so Agreed. You kind of have to try to find a good balance of being happy now and happy later.
Agreed. I like that.
Yeah.
What's one life lesson you're still trying to fully learn?
I think you talked about this in one episode, was like, don't compare your behind the scenes to someone's highlight reel.
Oh, yeah.
Such a big one. I'm comparing myself all the time.
Yeah.
It's so bad. I think one of my favorite quotes also is, a flower does not think of competing with the flower next to it. It just blooms. And it's just like, that's true. Like, flowers don't think about the ones next to it. It just does what its own thing. And I try to think about it that way and try not to compare myself to others in a negative way. It's a lot easier said than done.
Yeah.
I struggle with it all the time, almost daily, almost every time I open up Instagram, basically.
That's the same exact thing for me. I mean, even watching like YouTube videos or Instagram videos, like I follow a lot of videographers and they're all my friends, or a lot of them are my friends. But sometimes I think I feel it in the back of my head. I'm just like, man, like they got better, or they got a good gig or something like that. Yep. But then like I try to like fight that. I'm like, okay, no, I actually am happy for them. Like there's so many opportunities that are gonna come your way, and like sometimes someone else will get it, sometimes you'll get it. So I think one thing that another podcast guest that David Petroni, he came for like the sixth episode or whatever, but he was saying like, we're all going towards the same direction and there's enough room for all of us to get there. So why don't we just support each other? And once he said that, I think that's what really changed my mindset as well. I was like, okay, they're going the same way as I am, but it's fine because there's room for me to go with them. And so yeah, I still struggle with that, but I feel like I'm getting better as well.
Yeah, I think on my profiles I say community over competition, because I think that's really important. And I think also that's kind of changed my mindset in terms of the content that I put out as well. So when I look at people's content and start comparing negatively, I kind of reverse it. And when I put out content, I try not to share things that might make my life seem perfect. Like I like being more real, and I like being more raw and honest, and like a real unperfect person. So try to be more transparent and vulnerable in my captions and being more honest and sharing not so great parts of my life, because just I'm not perfect, and I think that helps to make people relate to that, because I don't want to put out this image that like my life is perfect and that I'm perfectly happy, because can't be that all the time, and definitely just no one is. So
yeah, no, I definitely noticed that in your videos. Like even the one YouTube video that I shared with a bunch of my friends, like you were just like creating a video for yourself where you had some self-doubt, but you're giving yourself words of affirmation, right?
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the realest videos I've ever seen, like out of, in a long time. And I think people need to know that whatever people make on social media, on YouTube and stuff, again, that's just a highlight reel. And there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, behind the camera. And I really appreciated that. And that's something that I've been trying to do for myself as well. Like try to reassure myself that, okay, I'm not at the high point right now, or I'm feeling very low, but, we'll get there. Like I need to take care of myself, take a break. And that's one thing that I'm doing now, taking a lot of breaks.
Yeah, same.
So I'm going to like end the season on the podcast sometime soon and all of that.
Yeah.
So, and I even noticed on your financial videos, you even said like, oh, I spent a little bit too much on this or something, right?
Yeah.
Right. And that's good, because people will always think, oh, I messed up and like I'm not following like these financial advisors, like because they don't seem to mess up at all.
Ever.
Like that's so bad.
Yeah.
That's a bad way to reassure people that like, okay, you can mess up, but it's okay. Just pick yourself, keep going, pick yourself back up.
Yeah.
So I really like that from your videos.
Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. Hope you learned a lot from that, Kristin. The next question is from Ho Mimi. How do you stay on track and balance work and side projects, and what keeps you motivated?
So I think before I became a manager, I was able to do some more video editing, like once I got home or something like that. But with my long commute, so my commute is like over an hour going back home, and then like you have to eat, and then you have to shower, and then I have to take the dog out, and then pretty soon it's almost bedtime, because I need to get like 7 to 8 hours in order to drive safely.
Yeah, for sure.
So they're just, that was before I became a manager, and now that I'm a manager, I feel like I'm a little bit more busy, and I just am more emotionally drained by the end of the day, that I don't really edit videos as much on the weekdays. I'll usually film and edit on the weekends now. And it's just easier. I know it takes part of my weekends up, but it's fun for me. So
yeah,
that's what I've been doing.
Yeah, I don't do any editing on the weekdays as well.
Oh,
like I'm just so tired and staring at a screen for way too long.
Yeah, especially at a tech company, that's kind of our job, is just to like stare at it.
It's super tiring, and you talk to a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
So like trying to talk to the camera or something, it gets tiring. I do everything on the weekends, except sometimes I have to do these interviews on the weekdays. I have to make sure I'm not tired.
Yeah,
I think people have noticed that I've been tired in some episodes, but yeah, I'm trying to, I guess, move it more towards the weekends, like trying to have my interviews in the weekends and stuff like that, so I'm not always tired.
Yeah, and I think the reason why I'm able to do it on the weekends is because I'm just more introverted, so I don't go out a ton. I actually prefer to be at home and just like editing or like watching a movie or something like that. So if I'm going to be home already, like that's just kind of how I make it work. And if I have plans, then I'll try to plan videos ahead of time, but that usually doesn't work out. I'll usually just cram it in like right before or something like that, or maybe just skip a week. But
okay,
yeah, that's kind of my balance.
yeah. Are you okay with like skipping a week?
Yeah, so I really try hard not to. I think I let it slide like maybe once every couple months.
Okay.
So I think that's more consistent than I have been in the past couple of years. So I still feel okay about it. But sometimes maybe I'll try to make it up and film, or maybe release like an extra video within the next few weeks or something like that. So
that's good. It keeps your mental sanity in check.
Yeah, and I guess she also asked like how I stay motivated. I think I just really like to create videos, so it doesn't really feel like a chore for me to do. I have a huge list of topics to choose from, so I just kind of choose out of the list like what I really feel like recording that day or that week. And so I have a lot of options to choose from, which helps. Whereas if I like only had one video idea and I wasn't feeling it, then chances of me doing it are very low.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
That's really good. Glad that you enjoy it. It's not like, it doesn't feel like a chore.
Yeah.
Cool. The next question is from Karina Graham. What's been your favorite type of content to create?
Oh, wow. That's a tough one. I might not have created it yet.
Oh,
actually.
That's an interesting answer. Okay.
Yeah. So I've always seen videos, actually they're kind of like your videos where they're like third person point of view. You're basically taking really focused portrait shots of you doing something and like the background is blurry. One, I don't have that type of lens yet. And two, I just like want to move out so I have like a great, nice, clean background to film that type of scenery at home. But I think I really love when it's like third person of like maybe me, like it could just be me using a product, you know, like very close detailed shots. And I feel like that would be so creative to do. I just don't have the equipment yet. And maybe that's like something I should buy to make me happy. But yeah, I think that's a type of video that I want to strive for in the future. Like I know it's totally different from my current videos where I just sit there in front of the camera. But I think that'd be fun to like do on top of like the types of videos that I do now, like to be a little bit more creative.
Okay. And you did actually do something similar to what you're talking about, like with the what I do if I'm sad.
Yes. Yeah. The being happy video.
Yeah. I really like that video.
Yeah. So that was like an attempt, but I want to definitely take it to the next level. I love like blurred backgrounds. I love focused shots, and I just need that equipment and want that space to film that type of stuff.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and you'll probably get there real soon because you're planning on moving out.
Yeah.
Cool. Ashley, she already answered your question, so shout out to you though. For Tsunami, he has 2 questions. What have you learned at your day job that you've applied to your YouTube career and vice versa?
So I guess what I've learned at my day job that helps my videos, maybe being detail oriented. So I noticed that sometimes I really need to write out a script so that I make sure that I hit on all the points that I want to in a video, so I don't leave anything out. I think that's something that I've learned from work, just to like be more prepared. Vice versa, I think like it's okay to have fun, I think. I mean, and being creative as well. Like I like being a little bit more innovative, more creative at work. And I think that's okay to do, to like think of new ideas and share them and see what other people think of them. So I think being more confident in myself and sharing those types of ideas, that's probably something that came from my more creative hobby side of me. Yeah.
That's actually something I forgot to ask you. Like when it comes to creating the videos where you're talking about personal finance or, you know, whatever, how do you prepare for that? So you write a script. Do you like write like days before, or do you kind of do it like right before you record?
Yeah, so it depends. Sometimes I'll build it up like as I think about it. So like it could be like weeks, and I'll just like write out, oh yeah, I want to touch on this point, and I just quickly write it down.
Got it.
And then come back to it. I'll just kind of write things down as I remember them, and then when I feel like the list is fully done, then sometimes that's when I'll film it. Sometimes if it's a shorter video, I'll just write it out real quick right before I record it. Sometimes I write it out in full sentences, like exactly what to say. And then sometimes you don't see, but like I'll like look at the next sentence and then cut to the camera and then say it.
Yeah.
And then and then edit it out. But like kind of look at the general idea of what I wanted to really say. Because sometimes like a full sentence helps.
Oh, I definitely do that too. At least to get a better understanding of what I should say. And I might not say it perfectly, but but
the general idea is there.
General idea is there for sure. I definitely do a lot of things you do, and it's good to see that I'm not crazy doing all these things.
Yeah, it's like beginner mindset. Like you really have to like get everything ready. So the video is as perfect as possible.
Yeah, for sure. And his other question is, what is your go-to karaoke song? So this is just a fun one. Do you like karaoke? I guess that's the first question.
No, I do not.
Why are you asking this, Erin?
I know, I'm a horrible singer. Okay, this is silly, but I kind of like the song from Lilo and Stitch.
Okay, what song is that?
I think it's like Hawaiian Roller Coaster Ride. I don't think I've ever karaoke'd that like
that's a good
with
song.
Friends, but like I definitely do that in the car by myself.
That's a fun song for sure.
Yeah.
Good answer. I totally forgot about that song.
Yeah, I love Lilo and Stitch, so that's a top movie for me.
Cool. So the last one is from Gabrielle Valdez. What mindset do you have around money? So do you see it as something that would allow you to do things, or is it more of like, this is what I need to live, or anything like that? Like, how do you see money? What is your relationship with money? Maybe that's another way of saying it.
Yeah, that's a deep question.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I guess I see a little bit of both. I see it as like what I'm striving for is something called like financial independence or financial freedom, where I might want to try to retire early. Mm-hmm. And that means like saving up more now so that I don't have to work as many years later on and I can retire early. I think in that way, I see money as a way to get to like retirement faster and basically have my life to myself faster, because then I won't be tied to a job or relying on an employer for work, right? So I feel like it's very useful and it enables me to have that opportunity to work less years.
Cool.
I also feel like you just need it. You know, you need it to do everything.
Yeah.
As much as like sometimes I hate how much you need, you just need it. Like I think the reason why I got so into personal finance is because you're responsible for your own retirement. Unless you're unless you're inheriting like a ton of money from someone, like that's your responsibility. And as much as we might want to like not want to think about it, it's gonna still be your responsibility now, 5 years from now, in your future. You're gonna have to do something about it at some point. So like you just kind of have to take control of it, not see it as an enemy, not like hate it and not want to deal with it ever, but like just try to learn more about it and figure out how to best use it to help you. And just know that you need a lot of money to live, because we're living longer, which is great, but you're not going to hopefully work forever. So I think just having that mindset is like, you'll need money to do everything.
Yeah.
You'll need it to travel and buy the things that you want. So you have to get there somehow. But I think, you can see it as a positive. You can try to make it easier for you now, and then it'll be less hard later. So.
Yeah, great mindset. I think a lot of people can approach it as like, oh, I don't want to deal with this because it's so difficult. Like, I don't want to think about what's going to happen to me in 10, 15, 40 years, whatever. And doing it now, like focusing on your financial independence now, is going to benefit you in the long run.
Yeah, I
like that.
It's very intimidating. It's very scary.
Sure.
Like you don't want to figure out like what all that stuff means and how to do it. You just want to live life and be young. But I think that's just part of my whole YouTube videos, I guess, is like trying to push out that it's not too hard. You can still do it. You can still accomplish it.
It's a balance, just like you said earlier.
Yeah, like it might take a little while to find your balance. Like obviously I'm still struggling with like trying to be happy and also save at the same time.
Same.
You just have to find the balance that works for you. I think some books recommend that you figure out what are your priorities and what makes you the most happy.
Yeah.
Spend and splurge more there and cut back on the things that don't bring you happiness and that don't matter as much. So
that goes with hobbies and everything else as well. So it's like a good like way of thinking for anything that you do.
Yeah, so it's like it's okay. Like you can still spend money on things that you like, but just maybe cut back on certain things and save more now, and then you won't regret it, I don't think.
Cool. That's great. So that's all the questions. And I guess the last two questions is what's next for you and your YouTube and Hopes and Craft and anything else that you're trying to do?
Yeah, I think I'm going to continue trying to put out more t-shirt designs just to see how that goes because it's free to do. The wall prints, I am kind of just letting sit there. Like I'm not really adding too many designs now. I started out like with maybe over 100 designs.
Wow. Yeah.
And it didn't take too much effort to put up or design, which is fine with me. But I realized that there were more popular ones or more successful ones than others. So I cut back a lot and just kind of stopped, like pulled down the ones that weren't generating anything and kind of improving from there. And then for my YouTube channel, obviously want to continue making more bite-sized videos of personal finance to get that message out there and help more people, especially like young people like us who don't want to think about it. But, I'll try to continue to push out content to make it easier to understand. And I also want to focus on more lifestyle videos. So keep an eye out for those. I think I want to be a little bit more creative and a little bit less focused on finance and more just like general lifestyle and maybe, finance as well. And maybe more vlogs too.
Cool. Yeah, I got to get on that passive income game. Yeah. Like that's very smart. I really want to look into that. So I'll ask you about it later.
Yeah, I think my ultimate goal would be to monetize my channel, obviously, because I feel like videos are my favorite hobbies right now. And you need like 1,000 subscribers. So subscribe, shameless plug.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Subscribe, follow both of us.
Yeah, I think that would be a cool source of passive income.
Cool. And for the people that do want to follow you and subscribe, where should they go for social media and your YouTube?
Yeah, so on Instagram and YouTube, I'm Amanda M. Lim, M as in Mary. And then that's the same on YouTube as well. And then I also have my wall prints and lettering and creative side. That's Hopes and Crafts Co., I believe, on Instagram and Etsy.
Cool. Thank you, Amanda, for taking the time and talking to me.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a great time. That was fun.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.